Oh wow, isn't it strange to see bulls flying? Sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. Before helicopters, mustering a large herd like this one requires a team of at least 20 cowboys and takes 3 days to complete. Now, a single helicopter with a 1,500 horsepower engine gets the job done in half a day. Pretty cool, right? Thanks to technological innovations, these helicopters are ushering in a new era in cattle farming, completely transforming the culture of cattle ranching into something completely unprecedented. But what does this mean for the future of cattle ranching? Have you ever seen cattle transported this way? This isn't the kind of action shots that TV producers love, but if these helicopters should stop working, the industry would grind to a halt. When you think about cattle ranching, what comes to mind? You picture traditional cowboys on horseback with their dogs herding the cattle in the right direction. The US is one of the biggest players when it comes to cattle operations, standing at 86.6 million cattle thanks to their rural open spaces and reasonable climate. Australia follows next with 29.9 million cattle, with individual ranchers sometimes owning thousands of cattle at any given time. On horseback, herding and transporting thousands of bulls across vast fields and rough rural areas is a task that takes cowboys anywhere from a few days to weeks to complete, drastically reducing productivity and increasing the workload of the ranchers. And transporting large herds of cattle across rural regions is usually only done during the mustering season, which is between March to June, and then September to November, based on weather conditions like flood and drought. But that culture is slowly changing into something new. Ranchers use helicopters to ensure that they are well managed even in large numbers until they are matured enough to be sold. Being up in the air, ranchers have unparalleled flexibility to execute massive herding operations with ease. Pilots gain an aerial view of the vegetation around and can spot better locations for grazing and water holes, ensuring better herd management. Did you know that quick aerial surveys can also help ranchers identify animals that may be sick and injured from a distance? This may not be easy to do on the ground due to rugged terrain or dense vegetation, but from the air, injured or sick animals can quickly be isolated from the herd and given attention. The helicopters used for aerial mustering are very agile and quick. The Robinson R-22 and Cabre G2 have proven to be the game changers for ranchers. They're affordable compared to much larger helicopters with enough cabin space and power to make it easily maneuverable. They've got a much bigger downwash, and the cattle respond very well to them. The Cabre G2 in particular is a single-engine piston helicopter fitted with advanced safety features and electronic engine control, making it a practical choice for the mustering industry. But flying a helicopter over thousands of cows is not an easy task. Focus and don't blink, because it's easy to send the cattle in 10 different directions if the pilot isn't paying attention to what's going on the ground. The cattle listen to the sound of the helicopter and move based on where the sound is coming from. As soon as the bulls move in the right direction, the pilot flies away, removing the mental and physical pressure placed on the cattle. But it always doesn't work out this way. Once the bulls learn to ignore the pilot or the rancher finds themselves working with a particularly stubborn herd, there is nothing that can be done from the air. A dog or a cowboy on the ground will be needed to move the herd. Hovering just 500 to 600 feet in the air, being a stockman of the sky isn't a job any pilot can pick up. It requires a live wire, someone with a lot of energy and a ton of control. If you have experience handling cattle on the ground, that experience is truly put to the test as a stockman on the helicopter. From above, the pilot has to maintain a key eye on the herd and the terrain. The job is instantly gratifying and the reward is immediate, but the consequences for having poor piloting skills come even quicker. Low-hanging trees and other obstacles not only impede the view of the cattle, but they make aerial mustering a hazard-rid job. Inherent danger is always a few seconds away in case of a distraction or when the pilot hovers too close to the cattle. You don't want to hit trees, don't want to hit power lines, and don't want to hit the cows or any obstacles that come into view. So, one quick skill ranchers learn while aerial mustering is to deaccelerate the helicopter quickly while maintaining a constant height. Stubborn bulls like to deviate from the herd and hide under low bushes or trees, so pilots must master low-level flying and quick maneuvers to spot and return the bull to the herd. You need to remain alert with this job. The pilot often spends hours in the helicopter and relies on it. For this reason, he has to know his aircraft 100% and be careful not to push it past its limitations, especially when dealing with stubborn half-wild animals. Using helicopters for mustering isn't something that has always had the best reputation. It is usually conducted without regulatory oversight, and there has been a fair number of accidents, often resulting in the pilot passing away. Each year, about 10 helicopter musterers are reported to die in crashes, so this is not a job for the faint-hearted. The high risk of accidents have increased the need for more training before pilots are allowed to man the aircraft. Before a pilot can fly a helicopter for mustering, they're required to have 150 hours of low-flying experience in addition to the 110 hours needed for a standard license. Some ranchers just prefer the old-style conventional approach and feel a deep personal connection to the tried-and-true horseback methods of herding cattle. With the helicopter still overhead, the cattle are continuously guided until they are herded into a corral or moved on to large trucks where they are transported to other places where they might be needed. When the bulls are rounded up, the pilot's job still isn't done. The helicopter returns back to the field looking to attend to the bulls that were sick, injured, or too exhausted to move over acres of land without help. When transporting across mountainous terrain, or in the case of bad weather, when it's snowing or raining, the bulls can slip, injure themselves, or even die. Moving on horseback can make rescue missions difficult, and it would take hours before the cattle can be safely moved to locations where they can get better treatment. The bulls may also be stuck in an area where bikes, trucks, and other means of ground transportation cannot easily reach. Transporting by helicopter also ensures safe and efficient operation, saving both time and labor, as well as reducing stress for the animal. The cow is first tightly secured with a mesh harness and suspended by a cable attached to the helicopter. And once the cowboy gives the signal, the helicopter is ready to move the bull to a new location. Have you ever seen flying cows? It sounds a little crazy, but it is a sight to behold and continues to prove very efficient in cattle management. Ranchers then use guide ropes to bring the bulls down to the ground safely before they are loaded onto trailers and moved to places where they can be treated. With growing demand for dairy-based products and beef, cattle ranching is slowly moving away from the conventional approach by embracing modern technology and improving in ways we have never seen before. While helicopters offer unmatched productivity and sustainability, the connection between ranchers and their land remains an essential part of cattle ranching. So, should farmers embrace rapid change, or are the tried and true ways still worth holding on to? Share your thoughts in the comments.